Live from the World Center of Racing, we welcome race fans one and all back to Green Flag TV, where tonight we get set to kick off race number 9 of the Beer League as we get set to go oval racing. Welcome to Corona Zone. My name is Ola Brembo alongside Austin Edstrom, and we are bringing you all of the coverage here tonight from this 2.5-mile speedway. Austin, boy, oh boy, are we both excited for what tonight's race is going to hold. We never thought this day would come. There was only a 3% chance that this track would be rolled for us here tonight. And yet that 3% rings true as you've got over 40 cars ready to duke it out in an all-out slugfest at the 2.5-mile behemoth.
I can't wait. I have no idea what I'm going to see here today, other than we're going to see some big packs, some huge runs, crazy racing all the way throughout the 2 heat races and the 50-lap feature event. I can't wait to get this one started. I don't know if I've been more excited to start a race in my life. I mean, the Beer League puts on good shows every week, but this might just top them all.
Giovanni Romano enters today leading the driver standings by about 18. However, Eric Gronenberg is overtaking Chris Hannigan for the number 3 spot with his run over at the Backyard Bash from Long Beach just 1 week ago. Deschaines has also moved up 2. Ron Wolf, Gabriel Silva, and Christopher Bright have both been dumped down to positions as well. We look further now in towards the Teams Championship, and, well, there's a lot of movers in the Teams Championship here today. Tonight is overtaking Chicken Runners. Well, not quite overtaking them, but they have tied them for the points lead. And then, of course, the Diabetics being dropped down 3 spots after a pretty dismal showing at Long Beach just 2 weeks ago before you had that 1-week break. Canvas Racing, though, remaining fairly secure otherwise. Not really close to the guys at front, but still pulling away for the teams behind as well.
Yeah, good tight battle at the top of the team's point standings. My goodness, and this could all get jumping up like crazy. We've kind of come to be aware throughout the season of who our favorites are week in, week out. I couldn't tell you who the favorite is this week. Nobody's a favorite. Anybody could come through and win this thing, and I just cannot wait to get it started. We might see a big shuffle in the points after this week in both the teams and the driver standing. So I'm just excited to see what we got on store for us tonight.
As we've got qualifying very much underway for the Daytona International Speedway. Lap time still sitting at just under a minute, and there's a few drivers that are looking to make some names for themselves. Got the likes of Andy Felterbush Jr. just went 29th quick, making his rookie start here today, and he's not the only one, as you've also got Howie Feltersnatch that is also looking to make a first start over here for us tonight. He sits 16th on the qualifying sheets, trying to put down his second lap. Now, typically also what we see in Cup Series qualifying when we get here, you'll take 1 lap where everybody runs the top, and then 1 lap where everybody runs the bottom. That first lap used to build up speed, but with these cars topping out about, 140, 150 or so, I don't think these cars are going to be needed to take that first lap to get up to speed.
Yeah, I think that it's probably smarter just to run the bottom of the racetrack all the way around and get yourself 2 good laps. I feel like you're probably at max speed before you even come off the corner to start your first lap. So I think you're right. And we're looking at I don't know. I feel like that's too high in the middle of the tri-oval there. I feel like you need to be cutting the dog leg, because there's another big thing. The double yellow line rule is not in effect. This is not NASCAR, not in effect. You can't wreck people coming back on the racetrack before the corners. But that means even in qualifying, you can go down below that yellow line, and you can really duck down there and save a lot of time. I mean, it's a lot of time you save by ducking down on the apron. So, kind of surprised to see a couple guys not do that. But hey, it is what it is. I can't wait to get this one started. I'm just grinning ear to ear already.
You've got all the drivers putting down qualifying laps and now gritting up for the first heat race. There is a small break as they're having a special drivers meeting to go over some of the differences in how the rule book's going to pan out for tonight's race. And you know what? Why not? While we're on the subject of that, why don't we take a bit and we'll go over some of these differences as well. For one, and I think this is the biggest one, damage. It is on tonight. Usually the damage is turned off. Not this weekend, though. They have kept damage on, however, with unlimited quick repairs. Now, the reason for that, because the cautions could very much play a big factor in how this roll pans out, and obviously with how big a pileup could be in the midst of all of this field, they want to make sure there's at least some consequence this time if you do something stupid. I think that's completely fair. The second thing, Austin, cautions. Usually we have 2 at least 1 guaranteed, maybe 2. It's about a 75% chance, maybe a 3% chance we don't get any whatsoever. Those usually come out at random intervals at the road courses in between, what was it, like about 5 minutes from the entry, from the start, I mean, or 10 minutes from the end. Here, they're just on all together. So if there's a crash, it's very likely we're going to get a yellow flag thrown.
Yeah, and that's a big difference that we normally see. You know, max, we could have 2 cautions most nights. Tonight, we could have 20. So, I don't think we'll have that many, but I definitely think we're going to see a handful of wrecks with 42 Mustangs going around this place. But yeah, a bunch of different rules here tonight. I think it's going to make it a little bit interesting, and that's why we got to have this little bit of a break, just make sure everybody's kind of, up to speed, knows what's going on. But again, I'm so excited, and the rules, not having the double yellow line is kind of the biggest thing to me. I think we're going to see a lot of people, maybe they'll take it easy at the beginning, but towards the end of this race, you're going to see people doing some crazy stuff down the backstretch and going onto the front straightaway, trying to win this race late. So just with the different rules here tonight in place, and also the fuel load is really, really tiny. We've only got about 15 to 17 laps of gas if you're running by yourself. So in the draft, it might be a little bit more, but we're looking at least 2-stop race here tonight.
And, of course, then you have the heat races as well. Usually the heats are broken up. For every 10 drivers, there's 1 heat. So if we had a 40-car field, we would have 4 heats, 10 drivers per heat. With a 42-car field, we'd have 5 heats. Today, there's only 2 because of, again, how long this race could end up being if we get a big caution string in the main event, which will be 50 laps instead of a guaranteed minute count today. They have again made the decision to condense the heats down, so now we're allowed up to 25 in each heat, meaning instead of having what would be usually 5 heats on the afternoon, we only have 2, however, still 3 laps in length with no caution. So the heats are going to fly by in a hurry, and we're going to be in here for the long haul for the main event.
Yeah, we're going to be going about 40 miles an hour slower than NASCAR vehicles, but that means you can kind of lean on each other a little bit. You can make a little bit of bumping and banging in the middle of the corners and not turn somebody around, not kind of shuck them into the outside wall. So a lot of differences here tonight with the rules and with the ways the cars drive compared to most vehicles here at Daytona. So it'll be interesting to see kind of who adapts to it best, and even whoever adapts to it best might just get taken out at some point. So it's really anybody's best guess who's going to win this event. You got to think, I mean, guys like Mac Verstappen, man. You know, I've been singing Mac Verstappen's praises, hoping he could get a good run. He's had a couple tough ones at the road courses, but he qualified P7 here at Daytona. So big difference there for Mac. Good to see him up towards the front of the field. Hopefully he can get a good run in tonight. And there's a couple other guys, too, that I just feel like maybe you typically see them in the 20s that could really push their way up to the front of this pack and challenge for the race win. Oh, sorry. Before I go to the 11th through 12th, somebody just blew their engine on pit road because they were sitting there not getting air into the. So somebody for heat race 1 is not going to be. But anyway, 11th is going to be Todd Madole, 12th Chris Bright, 13th is Ben Williams, 14th Jonathan Lane. I can't stop laughing. 15th is Adam Klein. Andy Felcher-Busch Jr. is in 16th. Brian LeBlanc 17th. Jason L 18th. Tanner Klein 19th. One of the favorites most weeks, Giovanni Romano's in 20th. Don't know how he's going to do today with the different oval here. 21st, Brooks Clayton.
So with all of that said and done, we'll let these guys wrap up their meeting. We're going to take a quick step back. You're watching the Beer League on Green Flag TV.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back to Daytona International Speedway, where the field of what is right now 20 cars strong is rolling off around turn numbers 1 and 2. We get set to go green flag racing this time by for heat race number 1 from the Beer League. We're going to throw up your starting grid one more time. This is, of course, just for the opening heat race, and we won't run through it, but this is just how everything lines on up entering the race tonight. One driver making a noticeable absence from this heat race, and that would be the likes of Brooks Clayton way down to the tail end of the field. He is the lone driver not to make a start for this race. You identified Austin Giovanni Romano as the driver that apparently blew his motor while sitting on pit road and just waited for these guys to get up and going, but looks like he managed to get towed back and get a new motor in before the driver's being wrapped up. So that's going to make it 20 cars going to get set to lock themselves into contention for the main event later tonight.
This is going to be amazing. I can't wait. And it's just a little 3-lap dash, and there's no cautions. So people are going to be going balls to the wall as soon as possible. As soon as that green flag flies, we're going to see some crazy moves. I really feel it. And I just cannot wait to see what these guys have in store for us here tonight. I'm looking at Mac Verstappen in that RB's car there on the outside in the second row. Just a couple different names I think have a chance tonight, and I'm looking forward to seeing who gets it done.
Pace car is down and into pit road. We're happy that you're joining us on this incredible Wednesday night as we get set to go oval racing with road course cars. Green flags up in the air for lap number 1.
Good jump there from Austin Tucker on the outside, but he's got no help. Is he going to be able to get in front of Barrett Morton by himself before they even get to turn 1? He does it. What a great jump there from Austin Tucker on the initial jump. Being able to pull down to the bottom lane. Oh, somebody blew up already, and they're wrecking into turn number 2. Multiple drivers going around. Mac Verstappen, the pole sitter, Barrett Morton around. Multiple other drivers, too many to name, all in a pile, in a heap on the exit of turn number 1 and going into turn 2.
Cue that Aaron's 312 wreck that there was in the NASCAR Busch Series some time ago. It'd be easier to list the guys that weren't in the wreck. Austin Tucker fires it off and away. No cautions, remember, in the heat racing action. So we'll keep this thing clean and green all the way down. But that has very much broken apart the entire duration of this pack. Right there, the Blue Angels was here, and I think missed a shift, and that caused this absolutely monumental pileup throughout the rest of this field. That is some of the hazards, though, of missing a shift when you're trying to get up to speed. It's very easy for something to happen like that when you're in these low-powered club cars that rely so heavily on the draft.
I actually don't even think it was a missed shift. It was the fact that he didn't shift. Like, he was over-revving the motor like crazy, it seemed like. I went back into his cockpit, and those red lights were on forever. I feel like he just waited too long to shift into fourth. I mean, you might be right. He might have downshifted into second, but I actually know his dashboard said fourth as soon as he did it.
So, Barrett Morton was the guilty party in that one. He's in our YouTube chat. He has admitted to the to one of the greatest sins in racing. He money shifted. So he downshifted instead of upshifted. That's why he was pinging off the limiter as he was.
Well, I guess it happens. It just stinks that it happened at the front of the field. And it's funny because Giovanni Romano started P20, and he's now pushing Carlton up to the race leader. And we only have 4 cars in contention. So Giovanni Romano, I want to figure out how the heck he got through that wreck because he was in the back of the pack. What in the world did he do to get through 20 cars?
Well, we might have enough time before they get around to the final corner here. So let's see if we can jump back and take a look on board with Giovanni Romano as he was working his way up and around through the back end of this wreck. Take that look on board. Just bombed it down the apron and said sayonara.
That's incredible. Great job from Romano. And I didn't even realize that's something you can do too with these cars. You can just about go full throttle on the apron for a short period of time because you're only going 150 miles an hour.
And in the grass, which is one thing I think these drivers were warned about, was bombing it across the infield grass because you don't lose any time trying to duck down there when we get around to the final lap. Off of turn number 4, this is the battle to see who ends up on pole for the main event tonight. Here comes Austin Tucker, goes down onto the apron. Will get around Romano, can't get around Carlton. Tyler Carlton will be the race winner. 4 wide for the line in the meantime. Just behind, the battle for 5th is on, and it's won by Jason L.
Well, we didn't get the pack racing we wanted, but we still got another heat and an entire feature to get it. So I'm remaining optimistic, but that was a hilarious start that I don't think anybody saw coming. Going down into turn 1, I didn't expect to see a money shift, and the entire field getting wadded up. It kind of looked like the summer Daytona race from a couple years ago, whenever the rain just started pouring. I mean, everybody just kind of died at the same time because of that accident. So, interesting start. Still plenty of time. I mean, they're still wrecking at the end of the heat. I guess not everybody's finished yet, but
not quite.
Oh well.
There's a while for some of these drivers to work their way around. I think we're waiting on for
Poor Mac. Mac, man. I jinx the heck out of Mac Verstappen every time that we come into the beer league. I hate to say it. It's almost intentional at this point.
Take a look at your official post-race results. This was for heat race number 1, so 1 out of 2 heats are in the books. And with this all in mind, we'll get the chance now to take a rundown of how things are going to line on up. This will be for heat race number 2. On the pole, Sean Bradley. Matthew DeShannon will be beside him on the front row. Graham Jordan and Tyler Augustino will be 3rd and 4th. Josh Freed and Darren Bai, 5th and 6th. Alan Kemmeyer and the rookie, Howie Feltersnatch, will be on 7th and 8th. Greg Beckman and Evan Campbell round out the top 10.
Row 6 is going to start out with Matthew Dupuis, and then 12th is Aaron Facker. 13th is going to be Chris Hannigan. 14th, Jeremy Castro. Kyle Smith rounds out the top 15, while Alex Crawford starts in 16th. Gabriel Celian is going to be 17th with Ethan Conn on his outside in 18th. Ken Raya in 19th, Ron Wolf in 20th, and rounding out your 21-car second heat race is Adam Mailhot.
So second heat race about to get underway. Again, we have one driver missing from the call. This time it is Ron Wolf, who fails to make the start. You see a bit of alert from Bradley, but this time nothing to worry about when it gets down into the way of trying to get these guys up and rolling, as we are doing rolling starts here tonight. I don't think iRacing allows you to do a standing start on the oval. I really wish they did, though, because that would just be incredible.
I almost reacted to his jump and said, "Oh, false start."
Like
I've been like so trained every week in, week out, and people do it all the time too. So it's just kind of like trained in my brain that that's what's happening. But obviously they get a little bit of a reprieve this week. They're allowed to jump just a little bit. But yeah, heat race number 1 wasn't exactly what I expected. So I'm inclined to believe that heat race number 2 won't be either. I feel like we're going to get something kind of similar. Maybe not a money shift, but again, if that wreck happens at the front of the field, that's exactly what it's going to look like for the rest of the night. Actually, it's going to look even worse in the feature because we got 42 cars that are going to be lined up. But either way, I mean, second heat about to get underway. Hopefully we can get a little bit of a better tell in this heat race of what the actual main event's going to look like.
The bigger thing then, of course, you have to keep in mind for the main event as well, is while, yes, the wrecks may be even bigger because you have 42 cars, you also have cautions that'll bunch them all right back up again.
Which gives us more of them.
Gives
us more wrecks. We're in for a long one tonight.
The race is capped at an hour and a half, and again, we mentioned this beforehand when we were waiting on heat race number 1 to get underway. We have fewer heats because of how long this main event could go on for. So I think smart planning, we'll see if that planning will pay off or if this will end up being a timed race after all, as Sean Bradley will work his way now off of that final corner, and we will get set to once again drop the hammer as 20 cars will take off. Ron Wolf starting from the pits. Pace car is off into the restart zone. Green flags in the air.
Multiple drivers already jumping out of the outside line, trying to make it 3 wide before we even get to the start-finish line. Don't think there's any lane change rule here in this league. I imagine not, but they're still side-by-side for the race lead. Sean Bradley, Matthew DeShaney's. DeShaney's has a little bit of a push here from Tyler Augustino before they get down to the corner. They're a little bit better hooked up than that bottom lane is. But Sean Bradley's still able to get a pretty good run through the center of the corner, I must say so. And Augustino actually ducks down to help out Bradley and leaves DeShaney's out to dry on the outside line by himself.
Well, we made it out of turn 2, so that's a bit further than the first heat race made it. As you see, one driver that's one of the Canvas racing cars believed that to be a Cillian way down onto the apron, dropping back. Everybody weaving around. Now remember, these cars have a lot of mechanical grip underneath them, so you can beat and bang a little bit in the middle of the straightaways with these cars without being spun around. So that's something we'll be having to keep an eye on now for tonight. Contact may be the name of the game, especially when it comes to trying to side draft these guys. And I mean really side draft tonight to slow them down.
Oh, look how stacked up they are coming off the corner. I mean, they're 3 wide all the way back from third on the inside lane on back. The third row is just 3 wide, and then it's just a hornet's nest behind that as they're still side by side. Nothing between the 2 race leaders, just 5 thousandths at the line. Oh, contact into the outside wall. Multiple drivers getting spun around. Coming through the tri-oval, down into turn 1. Not as big of a wreck as the first time around, so we still got most of the pack racing up towards the front.
But again, for how long as we work out of turn number 2 to the back straightaway. Looking straight on, and you can see all these weaving around. Oh, the race leader, the Shady South gets hooked, and into the outside wall goes the 96, flying across the track. Cillian going evasive. He threads the needle and dives it up the middle as the rest of this field starts to dive it on in, and holy cow, we will be getting a look on board there if we can.
DeShaney's almost got turned coming through turn 4, but he was able to hang on to it again. Good saves back-to-back from DeShaney's in the 55, but Alex Gofford now has a run on the outside.
Riding real quick on board with the Cillian as they take the white flag. This was onto the back straightaway. Watch this mess and watch. He's going to dive it straight up the middle. Into the outside wall. Sees it coming. Quick lane change to the right. And keeps his foot in it.
Yep, and we're coming through turn 2 right here. Battle for the race lead, side by side. Oh, Alex Gofford gets turned heavy into the outside wall, head first, and that leaves 3 drivers for the race win. It's going to be DeShaney's Bradley or Jordan bringing this one home.
The field's starting to break apart. You got a wheel bouncing on the backstretch. Drivers scrambling to avoid. Cillian way down and into the infield grass. You've got 2 on the top. And only 1 down low. Matthew DeShaney's trying to hang on as Cillian tanks it into the outside wall. Just behind, 3 wide for the race lead. This is to determine the other start on row number 1 as we work out of the final corner in an all-out drag race. Down to the start-finish line, onto the apron goes DeShaney's, but it is Graham Jordan taking the win from the top side.
Oh my goodness, that was a great battle there between the 3 of them going 3 wide. Graham made the move at the right time, but you know, in NASCAR, you kind of want to make it coming out of the corner, but he was in the middle of the corner. These cars are a lot slower. You can kind of, nobody had help, so he just used that outside run, had a little bit less wheel turned into it, and used a huge run down the front straightaway just to beat out Sean Bradley and Matthew DeShaney as soon as they get to the line. Great job there from Graham Jordan. Timed his move to perfection. Probably going to see something similar to end the race later tonight whenever we get to the white flag lap. I think that everybody needs to maybe be taking notes on what just happened right there.
We'll once again wait for the last of the runners here to come across the line to close out heat race number 2. As there's a few stragglers with the damage being on and nobody wanted to come down to pit road and take those repairs. So, well, not quite. Thought Bry was the last one. Apparently not. Campbell maybe? It's either Campbell or Beckman. It's one of the 2. It was Campbell. So we'll now show you your finishing results. Then this is for heat race number 2. And now we are ready to get things rolling. This will be for the main event here tonight as we are set to kick things off. 42 cars ready to get things underway as we'll take your starting grid for your 50-lap future event here tonight. Tyler Carlton on the pole. Graham Jordan beside him on the front row. Giovanni Romano in 3rd. Sean Bradley in 4th. Austin Tucker in 5th with Matthew DeShaney's in 6th. Adam Klein 7th. Adam Joseph Mailhot in 8th. Jason L. is in 9th. Josh Freed rounds out the top 10.
11th is Brian LeBlanc. 12th, Ethan Kahn. 13th is going to be Tyler Vietnam. 14th, Aaron Facker. 15th, Tanner Klein. Alan Kameyer lines up in 16th. Andy Felderbush Jr. in 17th. Tyler Augustino in 18th. 19th is Todd Madole, and rounding out the 10th row is going to be Chris Hannigan.
Eric Cronenberg and Alice Crawford bring up road number 11 here with Corey Barrett and Mateo Dupuis on road 12. Row 13 holds Jordan Babcock and Howie Feltersnatch. Row 14, Magnus Jubin and Jeremy Castro. Blake Gamble and Darren By round out the top 30.
Jonathan Lane's going to 31st, Evan Campbell 32nd. Carson Catlin 33rd, Gabriel Asilian 34th. Barrett Morton 35th, Ken Rea 36th. 37th will be Ben Williams, 38th, Greg Beckman. Chris Bright will line up in the 39th place spot, Ron Wolf in the 40th, Brooks Clayton in the 31st, and rounding out your 42 car field is going to be Kyle Smith.
42 cars in a record field size for the Beer League on this season of competition will send us into the next round as everybody looking to be packed up and ready to go. We're waiting on a few stragglers still to close things out. This is this is where it's going to get interesting, right? How many cautions do we have? We have 2 overtime attempts. I have a very strong feeling we might be using both of them tonight.
We'll be lucky if we make a lap green. I hope not, actually. But
we to be fair, we would have made 2 laps green in the heat. So that's a start. That's past 1.
Which heat?
Heat 2. We
'Cause
made
I
it through the
feel
first lap. We made it through the first
Did we make
lap
it through the
clean in
first
Heat
lap
2.
Okay. I think you're right. Okay, fair enough. But then you got to, I mean, the third lap, it was so thinned out. Like, you really count that because there's only a couple cars. It's not going to be like tonight
Hey,
where
a
we're
lap
gonna have
green
pack
is a
the
lap
entire
green,
time.
regardless of how spread out the field is.
That's okay. I'll give it to you. That's fair.
2 drivers starting this race in pit road. Alex Coffin and Ron Wolf, Giovanni Romano and Brooks Clayton both opted not even to make it to the call this time around. As you can see, the field of what is now just 38 cars strong, steadily leaving pit road. By the way, the last car that we were waiting on in the pits that had gridded up just now left the pit lane. That is how many we have stacked up here. And you'll be able to see all of these guys as they work steadily out of turn 2 down the backstretch. They just keep on coming out of that second corner. And every one of them will be packed up less than an inch from the one in front as they try to sort things out and duke it out over here in the Corona zone.
This is going to be so awesome. I can't wait. I'm so excited, man. I'm giddy. Like, I'm so excited to see what we're going to see tonight. Carlton and Jordan doing a great job winning both their heat races. Giovanni Romano, who started 20th in the first one, going to be starting up here towards the front too. But I actually think he did not grid. I think he's starting at the back. So kind of classic from Romano, I believe. He's typically a last place starter, but still good field here tonight. Can't wait to see 42 of these guys go around this racetrack and try not to wreck.
Tyler Carlton, the Colt 45 40-ounce Ford Mustang, won his heat race, was pushed to the win by Austin Tucker, and will now lead us to the green flag. Pace car pulls down into pit road. 50 laps of racing action about to kick off as we enter the Geico restart zone. Green flags in the air. We're racing from the world center of racing.
Carlton gets a really good push here from Austin Tucker on that inside line. Both able to clear the outside line pretty easily before they even get down to turn number 1. And the 3 guys on the inside line really well hooked up. And even the 3 on the outside are well hooked up. We're going to have to see how big of a push they get. I was kind of interested in the heats. I feel like a lot of guys by themselves were able to just make runs out of thin air. So I'm interested to see if we get something similar in this. Some guys hooked up really not getting as big of runs as I would have expected. So it'll be interesting just to kind of see how the draft works in these things. I've never seen it, so we're just going to be learning every single lap as they're still side by side. They're trying to get up to the race lead. Jordan on the outside trying to make it happen, trying to get past Tucker so that he can get to the outside of Carlton going into 3, and he's there. He's to the outside with a big shove from behind. Just about able to make it stick on the outside. Falls back just a little bit in the middle of the corner, but he'll have the run.
You talked about how powerful the draft could very well be in these cars, and it is something fierce. You think the tow is strong in something like the trucks or the ARCA cars. You've not seen it here. The giant diffuser and the rear wing on the backs of these Mustangs means there's so much pull from behind that just lets you reel them right in like they're standing still. So this is definitely going to be a race where it is going to be impossible to break away from any one driver. So far, we're looking clean, though. They're being very tame about it so far. Double file still. We're clean for the opening lap, working out of turn number 2 to the backstretch.
Also want to point out, Austin Tucker has not gotten off the back bumper of Carlton. These guys have not had to worry about blowing engines all year except for missing a shift, and then your damage gets repaired. But damage is turned on tonight, so I'm a little worried. How much air can you prevent your car from getting, and for how long by pushing somebody before it starts overheating? Are we going to see overheating issues like we see in the NASCAR vehicles, or are these things going to be okay to just shove the entire night? It'll be interesting just to kind of keep an eye on that to see, especially Austin Tucker right now. He's not left that back bumper in 2 laps, not giving any air to that radiator, nothing to the engine. I would be worried. I'd be keeping an eye on that water temp really hard.
Well, you never quite know. It could be a big game changer tonight. All that being said, a lot of these drivers are saying while you can push a lot on the straights, you can't really push in the corners at all in these things. That's why you see so many of these drivers starting to lift off and just coast it through these corners a bit. They try to make sure that they can be safe and still keep it there in the end. We got caution on the Speedway. We got a crash in the background. Ken Ray, spinning down to the inside, and he's not the only one. Jonathan Lane collected as well. Greg Beckman collected. So a multi-car incident on the back stretch. Lane's had the back bumper ripped off. Looking like a fairly small wreck, though, so we should be able to get back underway here before too long.
Yeah, it wasn't too big. Nothing too crazy there. Coming off of turn number 2 towards the back of the pack. Ken Ray 3 wide. Oh, man. I can't tell which one was Ken Ray, but one of the Budweiser cars came up on the other Budweiser car and just kind of squeezed him into the outside wall. So whichever one of those Budweiser guys was in the middle might need to check his right side mirror. It might have not been put on right.
I believe that may have been Jonathan Lane that got turned up on. Sorry, no, it was Lane that did the turning up on Ken Ray, and then Greg Beckman just got kicked up and around with that mess. He had nothing to do with that initially.
Yeah, that was a little strange. He probably should have given a little bit more room to the car wrecking on the wall, but I mean, it is what it is. You got the fast repair come in. He didn't blow his engine. I mean, that's a tough one.
Well, in all fairness to Beckman, when the car's not holding the brakes and sliding all over the track, it's almost impossible to know where they're going to be. Because when he started to aim low, Jonathan Lane, the reason why he was so far with the racetrack in the first place was because when he was aiming for the outside, Lane was almost down on the apron with how far down he was, and he rolled right across the track.
It's going to be really tough distinguishing between the Budweiser cars tonight. We got 3 of them. Typically, we only have 2, so it's not too difficult. But we got 3 of them in here tonight, so I'm going to be struggling with the Budweiser machines.
Well, we've got caution on the Speedway for the first time. Doesn't look like anybody is going to be looking to make that dive into pit road this time by. We were thinking the fuel window could be around 20-ish laps. You're looking at about a 2-stopper, either a 2 or a 3-stopper, depending on if you're in the draft or in clean air. These cautions, though, will give you a lot of opportunities to save some fuel. We're going to take a step back. You're watching the Corona Zone from the Daytona International Speedway on Green Flag TV. stacked up, doubled up, ready to go back to racing from the Daytona International Speedway, as this field still standing strong at 40 cars on the racetrack, looking set to duke it out. Greg Beckman has so far been the only driver that has pulled off of the racetrack. He still have 40, all on the lead lap. Brooks Clayton still has not made it onto the racetrack. So 6 laps down, we will have 49 to go when we go back racing.
44.
Silence. We had this discussion on Monday.
I had to do it. I had to do it.
I can do math. I can do math, I promise. I'm not this stupid.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. We got a good restart here coming up. Carlton on the inside, Graham Jordan on the outside. Same front two as we had on the initial restart. That outside line was starting to make hay coming to the yellow flag last time. So we're just going to have to see how long does it take the outside line to work. But the pace car is off, coming to their Geico restart zone, and Carlton takes off with the green flag. Takes a pretty big jump there on the outside or on the inside against Graham Jordan, but he just does not have the help from Austin Tucker. Does he jump up and block the lane whenever the outside gets the run? Because, I mean, they're hooked up on the outside. Well, Austin Tucker has absolutely no help. You got to think that outside line is going to come with a head of steam.
Carlton, Tucker, Jordan, Bradley, all in a bit of a 4-car break now for the rest of this field, and they're going to quickly tuck it back in line. There you see Greg Beckman back onto the racetrack. We're now sitting laps down as we hightail it to the back straightaway. Making that look for the lead is going to be Austin Tucker. Drives around the top, showing no mercy to Carlton on the inside. Tucker pushed that 45 car to the point in his heat race. He will abandon him, though, in the main event, and that puts Austin Tucker now into the lead of this race. But immediately, Graham Jordan is ditched from the outside. So now Jordan leads the top. Tucker looking to lead his first lap at the end of lap 7.
That was so interesting, though. The outside line had 2 guys hooked up, and the guy on the inside with no help was the one that ended up getting to be up there and challenging for the race lead. I feel like the draft from the car in front, being a couple tenths of a second ahead of you, is just more important than having somebody tucked up under your rear bumpers. We've got a spinner down the inside. That's a Celian all the way down into the grass, almost to the pit road. Well, that's what it is. It's pit road. But they're side by side for the race lead. Jason L doing a good job on the outside line, coming up to fourth place.
Quick look back. Oh, Celian came down on the driver, trying to make a pass down to the apron and hooked himself across the nose. Now, pre-race, we were told that yellow line rule not in effect. Now, what that means is if you go down, you don't have to be let back up. But if you cause a wreck by being let back up, you're going to be penalized for it. As he got another car way off. Alan Kameyer slams the inside wall, rips the front bumper and the left front off, and he's going to have to come to pit road to get that damage fixed. But what do you do when you have a car that pinches another down and they're both on the apron? I guess it cancels out at that point as Josh Freed to the point we're 3 wide for the lead.
Yeah, that wasn't the fault on the car on the apron. Celian just turned across his nose. That's nothing. Oh, man, they're battling, banging for P2 there on the inside of the racetrack. Austin Tucker gets forced down onto the apron as Ethan Kahn and Graham Jordan are battling hard there, but Jordan has to fall in behind Austin Tucker as now Ethan Kahn gets that run on the outside of the racetrack. Oh, man, big accident. Our post hitter Carlton into the outside wall, head on. Multiple drivers scattering, trying to get around as Jason L goes around as well.
And will that be the big one? About, 4, 5, 6? I think that's enough to qualify, but still, most of the field making it out unscathed. Second caution before lap number 9.
Carlton didn't have a front wheel. He couldn't drive it back. He had to take the tow.
Oh, man. That's rough. We'll try to get a look back on everything that just went down, as this was all kicked off in a fairly violent fashion, as it so often does, working down into turn right there. Carlton got turned. We'll have to get a look back, as that was Jason L slamming the outside wall. That was a big hit from the bottom that Tanner Klein took. I'm not sure who that was with. It's one of the triple-digit machines, though, and then one of the Budweiser cars drifted up and put a Sirius Team 6 machine up into the outside wall. So it's a fairly hefty whack all around from everybody in this deal.
That was a huge hit for Carlton. I mean, Jason L, I couldn't tell if he came down the racetrack or if Carlton slid up, though. Off the initial replay, we're going to get another look at it as they come through the trioval. There was a lot of argy-bargy here.
No kidding.
Carlton and Jason L had actually made a little bit of contact through the trioval there, right around the start-finish line. Now Carlton all the way down on the bottom of the racetrack, slides up a little bit.
I think L came down.
Yeah, Carlton kind of widened up the entry of the corner, but he came back down, and then Jason L just kind of chased him down the racetrack and right rear hooked him into the outside wall. Kind of tough, really tough break for Carlton, especially since he left. Did he lose both front tires? Nah, just the left front, but it was still enough to where he couldn't move that thing.
I think that was Felterbush, the driver that we saw getting hip checked around. We'll get it right on board, and this will. It was with Felterbush. All right, so here we go, right on board with the 609. This is he's going to see all of this just erupt in front of him. I mean, you just can't go anywhere in that situation. He nearly tipped over there as well. Oh, and then again on the access road, then just had the 45 slide across the nose and was already stopped.
Yeah, but he's not killed enough to not be able to make it down to pit road, so he'll be able to take that fast repair and get back out there. Won't be too bad of a situation there for Felterbush. So at the end of the day, no harm, no foul. You just got to drop back to the back of the pack and try to work your way back up towards the front. But really good job from Josh Freed coming up to lead this race. Started P10. And look, there's a lot of comers and goers, right? I mean, Ethan Kahn started 12th up to 2nd. Josh Freed started 10th up to 1st. Chris Hannigan started 20th up to 4th. But on the other end of the spectrum, we got our pole sitter, Carlton, all the way back in 40th now after that accident. Jason L started 9th after the accident, down to 38th. Giovanni Romano, well, he started at the back and is up to 20th. He was supposed to start in 3rd, but he didn't even grid for this thing. But a couple guys sliding through the field while a lot of guys are being able to work their way up towards the front. But that's what you kind of expect from Daytona. And we thought there would be big runs, and people are absolutely taking every advantage that they can get, making it 3 wide any chance they get. And it's been pretty entertaining so far.
Beckman driving around the top, got the wave around the Irish safety car. He's not the only one. There's a few drivers being waved around. I believe Tanner Klein was just given one as well. That's pretty standard procedure at this point. The general rule of thumb is if you can get waved around in your lap down, they're going to do it to get you back onto the lead lap and back into competition. It's always something I've liked, to let these guys battle it out a little bit harder. 39 laps to go this next time by at the line. And I'm going to be honest, I wish I had known that it was going to be such a race of position battling today, because if I had known the timing tower would go that ballistic, I would have changed the red and green to a more Halloween-themed colors, maybe orange and black or so when you're switching up and down positions, because red and green, it looks like a Christmas tree whenever we bring the timing tower up.
I haven't even been paying attention to that. Now I'm not going to be able to look away from it for the rest of the race, so I really
don't
appreciate
even bother. It's almost more helpful not having it around.
Oh, man. Probably just should have taken the colors off altogether.
Oh, yeah. Lights are out. It'll be green flag this time by as drivers will start to double it up. You can tell a lot of drivers aren't used to having these double file restarts, and they instinctively keep it single file for a few seconds before they get realizing, yep, we got to double it up here. It's all so different when you get around to an oval, and we were talking to Chris Hannigan before this race, and he was mentioning that they are looking to put more ovals onto the wheel going forward.
I think the 1.5 miles could be a lot of fun, in all seriousness. Oh, man, I feel like something like Bristol would be so cool in these things. Could you imagine 40 of these things going around Bristol? I mean, goodness gracious.
Did you say 48?
I think if I did, I meant to say 40 of these things.
I was going to say, because I don't even know if Bristol can handle 48 cars.
Hey, I'm curious. How many laps left do we have?
We will have 38 when we take to the grid.
Nice.
Yeah, see?
Thought maybe if I put you on the spot.
I got one brain cell bouncing around in there somewhere.
Good to know that it works sometimes.
It's bouncing. I was working camera controls the last time. That's why.
That's very fair.
Out. It was.
Hey, you're already splitting duties between that one brain cell between commentating and switching the cameras. So it's impressive enough that you were as close as you were the first time, and that you were dead even. I mean, you're dead on it on that one.
Josh Freed in the Bud Long machine will be down on the bottom. The Fruity Pebbles Serial Team 6 machine of Ethan Kahn to his top side. Working out of turn number 4. And what is going on back here? We're 3 wide. I think some confusion on the running order as Romano jumping lines and causing a bit of chaos. But the pace car's off. Green flag will be up in the air once again as we return to racing action.
Josh Freed with the jump on the race restart, gets out to a healthy lead right here, as healthy as you can be at Daytona, but they're already just trying to make it 3 wide towards the middle part of the pack, not quite able to do it. File back out to double file before they get down to the turn 1, 2 single file trains all throughout the field currently on the restart, but that outside line just does not really get going. It takes them a little bit to kind of get reformed up, and then it allows somebody on the bottom like Brian LeBlanc right there from P5 on the restart. Now jumps up to the outside line as he gets cleared for 3rd place, and he's going to hit a huge shove from Ethan Kahn all the way down the back.
Hannigan making a dive around the top shelf here, trying to establish that 3rd lane early on in this latest bout of green flag racing as we work the backstretch down in the turn numbers 3 and 4. LeBlanc covering off the middle groove, trying to go to the top, no room, and now we're going to get hooked. The 2 going around. Kahn harder to the outside wall. Caution is out. We're wrecking again. LeBlanc's been turned, and that's in the middle of 3 and 4. Heads up the field, flying up on scene. We got about 2 different pileups and both in the same corner.
And I see some tires rolling around. That could be big. That could cause some people to tow and lose a lap, rather than being able to bring it back to pit road. It'll be interesting to see if anybody's stuck.
Tanner Klein and Eric Ronenberg having a disagreement. Still look to get themselves back rolling. I can hear, well, Chris Hannigan's car is not looking terribly healthy. See all the sparks? Take a look at the right front here when that car rolls around as eventually, maybe, please? I know we have some camera on the backstretch that shows the right side. Here we go. Take a look at the right front wheel. It doesn't exist. So he is quite literally riding on the bumper right now. That's what all the sparks are.
At least he's able to make it around. We saw somebody not be able to do that earlier, but he's at least getting that thing back to pit road, so it's not too bad from Hannigan. Somehow making it around the banking without a right front tire is kind of impressive.
You think that might impact top speed a bit, though?
Nah, it'll give him more downforce for sure.
Well, it's definitely down. you got that going for you. Trying to back up to the front of this. When you have a big wreck like that, the event recorder goes absolutely ballistic. So I'm trying to back up to find the very start so we get a look on all the chaos that just took place. This will be, we'll watch with Brian LeBlanc first as he got hooked by Hannigan into the outside wall, and that caused this whole mayhem working out of turn 4. Verstappen got involved. I believe that was Carson Kaplan that just got piled in there as well. And so a few cars that got collected. And then, of course, you had Kahn in his major pileup as well, working down into turn, working into turn 3. Try to find Ethan and show you the other half.
Race replay here going down to turn 3, a little bit of a trouble spot.
Was Hannigan that started both of these?
Did he start them?
Well, not quite. I think, yeah, Adam Klein hooked Kahn that time around.
The second one, sure. He kind of came down on LeBlanc, I think, right?
Yeah, it looked like that a little bit, and then I think both the Budweiser cars were caught up in that.
Poor Ethan Kahn just got thrown around right there, lost his spoiler. Some multiple heavy impacts there for Kahn through the exit of the corner. We get another replay going down into turn 3 of the mayhem.
This is watching from the top of the grandstands in the tri-oval. It's got a great view though of those opening corners as there we saw one, and then here's everything else that happened off of turn 4. And I mean, watch this. It's just one by one. There's Ronenberg collected up on the outside wall. Now watch Tanner Klein, the black and white Mustang. He's trying to siphon through in the Dilbo Gundam style machine, and right there he got hooked. That slid him into Ronenberg.
I believe we're coming off of turn 4 to get the 1 to go here by Barney the flag man up at the top of the flag stand. Gonna see the lights of the pace car go out this time by, I do believe. We're gonna get this thing back underway. Hopefully we can get a good little green flag run. I think we'll get it figured out here sooner rather than later. I think we're going to get at least one pretty good stint here with some hard battling. But I think we saw it right there. You just can't really bump in the corners. You get offset a little bit, through the middle of the corner and you tag somebody in that left rear, and it doesn't matter what car you're in. You get tagged in the left rear around an oval, you're not holding on to that thing. There's no way. So I think just a little bit of a learning experience for a lot of these guys. Got to figure it out.
You know what I think might help just a little bit? If some of these drivers weren't invading our YouTube chat while they're trying to drive as well. We got Coffer,
that might help.
We got Coffer, Decillion, Morton I saw was in here earlier. Corey Barrett was there. Thomas Lane. Oh, actually, sorry, Thomas. Thought it was Jonathan Lane. Thomas running from TNGG, so he's not a part of this league. But you know, there's a few of them in there that are lurking around. And Coffer's, is Coffer? Yeah, Coffer's still on the racetrack. He's pacing while he's typing all of this out.
I feel like he's been doing that the whole time. Coffer's a multitasker, man. You know, we get him at the road courses where you get the big crazy jumps, and he gives us a show in the heat race by either stomping the field or, you know, finishing about second. But then he says, I don't actually want to finish second. I want to take the jump. That's what I want to do on the last lap. And then even whenever he's racing, he's going to come into the YouTube chat and give us some entertainment. I think we can kind of give him that nickname, right? Mr. Entertainment for the beer league.
Well, you missed the quarter-mile drag race that he had out of the final corner of the Fuji Speedway during the Secura Stampede. For that was about 3 weeks ago now that one was.
Wasn't he leading at the end of that thing?
No,
and
he had already effectively relegated himself to last before that.
Oh, who was it? Who was it that was leading that wrecked it out of 4?
I don't remember.
Or out of the last corner.
I don't remember. To be fair, there was a lot of wrecks out of the final corner that race. Oh, lights are back on. As we'll wait for, I think, waiting on some cars to catch back up the tail at the pacing line. While we're here, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. We've got pretty much a record high attendance for live viewership on this race. We've peaked at 27. I think our overall peak may have been around 30 or so for one of the High Tide Racing League races on Monday nights. But for a midweek show, this has been excellent. So thank you, everybody, for tuning on in and joining us on Green Flag TV. It's definitely not one of the races we usually cover on Wednesday nights. But honestly, I don't think we're complaining about it. I mean, it's been a fun night so far.
Yeah, and I think that the league admins have seen on the Mayhem, and I think they've moved it to a single file restart for the rest of the night. Probably a smart call, I gotta say.
Yeah.
Give us a little bit more time. Maybe the field will spread out a little bit. We probably needed that.
You know, it may have been automatic as well. It depends, because remember, we didn't make it a lap that time under green, and there is a setting when you're setting up sessions like this. If there's a consecutive restart or a consecutive caution, it automatically puts it to single file. What that means, you have to make it at least a lap. If you don't make it a lap, it automatically throws it to single file. That may have been what's happened here as well.
I was unaware of that rule.
It's not a beer league rule. It's a generalization of iRacing rules. Very few people end up using it, but it's used all the time in official races.
People are asking in the chat if they get bonus points for watching. I'm going to say, yeah, you get 5 bonus points in the standings. I don't have any say over that, but we're going to make it happen.
Okay. First off, promising anything to Grant is a bad idea, because he's not going to
equals
stop
5
now.
beers. It equals 5 beers drank, and every comment is another 3 points.
You're
boosting the YouTube algorithm.
You're playing with
I
fire
appreciate
here.
you.
You are really playing with fire tonight.
I totally have the power to make it happen. Totally.
Oh boy, pace car down in the pit road. We'll deal with the legal ramifications of impersonating the legal official after the race tonight, as the green flag is up in the air. My Xbox controller just went to the 4th dimension as I'm back to green.
I don't know what to do with that information, but Adam Klein jumps to the outside, takes P2 away from Graham Jordan. Tries to get to the outside of Josh Reed before they get down into the corner, but he's got no help, and he's got no draft in front of him, so it's going to be tough for him to kind of work with that outside line without having anything. He's going to side draft, but now Giovanni Romano pops out to the outside lane from P5, trying to give Adam Klein a little bit of a push.
Blake Gambro ducked out early. He is starting to fade to the rear of the field. I guess didn't want to have any of whatever's going on up here at the front. Josh Reed still being pushed clear by Graham Jordan. Adam Klein trying to make a move on the top. A lot of a split here in this restart. Got 1.5 seconds between 18th and 17th here, so it's an incredibly large split that I don't think we've seen all night long. or at least right out of the gate like this.
Yeah, I mean, I think the single file restart has a lot to do with that, right? Some guy,
You're
whenever
not
single
wrong.
file, a lot of guys could have an issue through the middle of the pack and maybe miss a shift or just time it a little bit off, and that stacks up everybody behind them. We might have seen that somewhere around the 20th place position as we see a big, a big gap in between. I don't know, about 16th place and 17th place. We see almost a second of a gap, but if they get lined up and pushing each other, they could very well run the race leaders back down and have a really big run coming up on them as well.
Here we go, 3 wide, working out of turn number 2 to the Daytona Super Stretch. Round the top. Believe that to be Tyler Vietnam that's trying to make some moves. Trying to track who that is. It's hard to tell when you're head on like this, but you got a lot of cars still packed up running line of start. Oh, a bit of a bobble from the outside that time by, and tell you what, the Alpaca machine is really under some heavy fire right now as working to the top side. That would be the likes of Austin Tucker trying to make a move. Tucker into the wall. Look out as we got one going around third in line. And Wrangler back under control. Right behind the wreck begins. And now we've got big trouble into the infield. And sliding back into the traffic. Coffer kicks skyward as they're caught in the safer barrier. And this is a big mess. Coffer's up and over.
I think Coffer got caught YouTube commenting and driving on that one. He wasn't able to react in time. But it was really just a car coming across his nose pretty late. But somebody else had spun right in front of the field, about 10th place or so, spun into the outside wall, and then just came back down, collected Coffer, collected multiple other drivers, and unfortunately Coffer took a massive, massive impact into the outside wall.
Take a look at this one here. I think a lot of that to do with that giant loose moment we saw just up the road. This is with Coffer. Watch this. As wham! Hard into the wall and then just got kicked upside down. On a huge pileup on the front stretch. Corey Barrett, Kyle Smith, LeBlanc, Lane, and more collected. Carson Catlin was in there. Who was that got tipped up on 2 wheels? And Ronenberg got drilled.
Goodness. It was so weird how Coffer and the Lucky Charms machine, forgive me, I don't remember who that is off the top of my head, but they were like stuck inside of, like their cars got stuck together. Both went into the outside wall stuck and then got absolutely drilled, and it sent Alex Goffard flying like a top. I mean, my goodness, the thing was just spinning in the middle of the air. Just heavy impact to the outside wall, and unfortunately blew his engine. He's going to have to come to pit road with the tow, so he might lose a little bit of time. Luckily for him, it's on the front straightaway, so maybe he could get that thing in the pit road pretty early. But, man, Chris Bright nowhere to go either. Gets up on 2 wheels. Good job coming back up the racetrack. Did he lose his right front, too? I feel like, definitely there's that wheel flying off. I think he'll be able to make it back, though, as long as he keeps that momentum up.
Watch middle of the screen right there. The 7 comes down to the 58, and it is on from there. And Coffer gets turned around. Bright almost got kicked up and over. I think the grass slowing these cars down, because you saw how much the grass slowed these guys down. I think that single-handedly escalated the nature of this accident, because once they hit the grass and they were sliding sideways like that, the cars just virtually came to a dead stop and then slid up the racetrack because they still had the sideways momentum, not the forward momentum, right? And that is one of the huge problems that I have about the new grass physics. Is in cases like that, that's not what's going to happen in the real world. It just isn't. And there have been a few cases of cars that have already had some pretty wild moves like that. I remember the Speed Cup Series a few weeks ago in Vegas. Yeah, one car that slid into the infield was going so far sideways that by himself at a 9-degree angle, the car nearly dug in and tipped over Ryan Preece style or Rusty Wallace style, Darrell Waltrip style, whatever you want to do. It is insane how grippy that grass is, and it is something that I really hope Iris is going to look at in the future, because that single-handedly made this wreck a lot worse than it really would have been.
I remember a lot of people complaining about the old grass, it being too slick. This is kind of the exact same thing in the opposite direction. It's just way too grippy.
They went too far in the other way.
Yeah.
They went too far the other way.
And I didn't think the old grass was that bad, if I'm being honest. I think the gravel traps were really, really bad because it was just like you were in grass. They weren't gravel traps, but they fixed that perfectly, I must say. It's really, really good.
We've gone from grass physics everywhere to gravel physics everywhere, it feels.
Yeah, dude, I don't understand. I really don't get it. I feel like they've definitely tampered with the grass a little bit too much, because I liked it. I liked how it was a little bit slippery. You know, if you watch an F1 race and you see somebody put off a sliver of a wheel, right? If they duck their right rear tire into the grass whenever they're in the braking zone, that thing rips around. That little bit of change in grip is massive, and I feel like they took that away. I feel like it was I don't know, you can kind of extend corners a little bit more now and make a little bit more use of, you know, corner extending, and I feel like that's a little, it's a little bit too far in the opposite direction. I feel like they need to find a middle ground.
The middle ground is, I think, the key thing, because the ice grass, the ice grass is annoying, but at least it's punishing, right? This is almost punishing in the opposite direction, because if you do get kicked sideways, there's a big chance you could actually end up worse off. Because at this point, if you're sliding sideways with the grass, you're actually stopping faster in the grass than you are on tarmac or on asphalt. That's just not how physics work. I'm sorry, but it's not.
Yeah, and you can go through the, honestly, hopefully we don't see this at the end of this race, but you can go through the grass and just cut it and not lose any speed.
Yeah.
And beat everybody else to the start-finish line because you shortcut half the track. So I know that we brought that up to Hannigan beforehand, and I think that he was going to talk about that. So I feel like that's probably outlawed tonight. I don't think you can do that. You can go below the yellow line, but I don't think you can, you know, go full lawnmower at 150 miles an hour and win the race that way. So
ignore the yellow, stick to the gray.
Exactly. No green.
No green.
No green on Green Flag TV. Not allowed.
Well, we're fulfilling that motto tonight as well with all these caution laps.
We are Flag TV.
We are flag. We're flag, yeah. We're flag.
Yep, we're Flag.
We're blank. We're transparent flag TV.
I like that. See-through.
We're see-through. We really are.
I mean, technically the logo, if you look at it.
Hey now. Hey now.
Everything is green in the logo except the flag. That doesn't make much sense.
It's fine. It is. You're thinking too hard. You're thinking too hard. Green flag's up in the air. We've got just over half the race remaining as Josh Free takes us to the green flag once more.
Yeah, Josh Freed and Adam Klein side by side for the race lead. We're back to the double file restarts. You were right. It was just a one-time thing because they had the accident on that first lap, but still side by side for the race lead. Josh Freed trying to get the inside line to work. Austin Tucker maybe looking to the outside through one. Not quite able to make it work. I don't think he's got the run to do it. He just ducks back in line behind Todd Madole there in the outside lane. But Giovanni Romano is all over the back bumper of Josh Freed through 1 and 2, giving him a really good shove. But it looks like Adam Klein in the outside line might have a little bit better of a run going down the backstretch.
3 wide in the mid-pack along with others as this field's starting to get a bit argy-bargy. Matt Verstappen down onto the apron, and he'll rejoin up without any incident. As now we are looking to go 4 wide in the turn numbers 3 and 4 in the mid-pack. But again, they double it out as these guys have some sense not to try to go 4 wide, even in cars as small as these through 3 and 4.
You say that now, but we're not even halfway yet. We got plenty of time for some 4 wide action, and we're going to see it. We got one of the Budweiser machines making it 3, though, on the outside of the racetrack. Is that Tucker on the outside? Oh, man, they're wrecking. Todd Madole gets turned across the Budweiser machine. They're stacking up into the outside lane. Multiple drivers involved. Coming in. ARCA brakes. Going into turn number 1. Everybody in the back half of the field is stacked up in this one.
Well, there goes half the cars. I believe Adam Klein maintains his run in the race lead for now. Everyone else, a lot of work to do from the air.
Yeah, it's Ken Rea in the Budweiser machine. I actually think that Khan came across his nose. I might have to look at it again one more time just to make sure. But oh my goodness, man, just huge impacts. Everybody just coming in, acting like they don't need a break. I know they got a fast repair, but man, you don't want to be stuck down there and have to take the tow. Yeah, Madole just kind of came up through the exit of the tri-oval, kind of pinched Rhea into the outside wall. Didn't really give Rhea much room, and everybody else, I mean, you can really tell whenever somebody ARCA brakes in these things compared to the NASCAR cars because, oh man, Verstappen gets hit in the back end too. They got the brake lights, so you can tell whenever somebody's braking in this one. Yeah. And if you're seeing somebody in front of you braking using the brake lights at a super speedway, you better get on yours, man.
So caution is going to be out for the 5th time tonight, right at halfway. 25 down, 25 to go at the line. We'll take a jump back. You're watching the Corona Zone from the Beer League on Green Flag TV. Lights are out. We're ready to go back to green flag racing. We have 24. Will be 23 laps to go at the line. And, well, we're just shy of halfway. And a bit worryingly, perhaps, here, Austin, we've almost used half of our time limit up as well.
Well, your bad math came back because we're just past halfway.
Well, that's what I said. Like, we're just past halfway on our laps, but we're not past halfway on the time. We're getting closer there, though. If we get a few rapid-fire succession cautions, we could be at risk of this being a timed race instead.
I don't know. I feel like we're gonna head to 50. We've had so many cautions that I feel like our max run has been like 3 or 4 laps. So I feel like we're probably safe, unless the green-white checkers, right? The green-white checkers could come out and throw that into place.
Yes.
You're absolutely right.
And that's, I think, the really worrying thing. Like, on 50 laps, I think absolutely yes, we're making it to the end. But it's those overtime attempts that throw everything into jeopardy. Green flag up in the air this time by 23 laps to go. Giovanni Romano started way back in third, takes it to the green. And we're wrecking already.
Well. Oh, man, they're still wrecking.
We're still wrecking.
Crawford, he's commenting again.
And so it
goodness.
begins. Giovanni Romano still with the lead of the race after this mess, as this was working. Well, it's already kind of gone wrong there. We'll get a better look at this one, as this was working into the tri-oval. I think a massive stack up potentially in the field caused this one. That's exactly what caused this one. There we go. Whoops. Oh, huge
Oh my
crash.
gosh.
Who was that went tumbling?
Flipping.
Was that
Ethan Kahn?
That was Kahn.
Yeah. Oh my word, man. I mean, we're going pace speed.
Good Lord. That was a violent ride.
I've never seen somebody flip so many times whenever they're not even going 80 miles an hour. Holy cow, Ethan Kahn.
I think that rivals Verstappen's flip record from Mount Panorama round 2.
Could have. We need to count.
Yeah, well, we'll get a chance.
Oh, nice
here.
slow-mo. I love the slow-mo. Look at that. I mean, the perfect launch angle right there to get under the car.
And then there's the grippy grass.
There's 1, 2,
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7. Well, 7.5. We'll call this 7.5. Oh, roll it. There you go.
Nice.
There you go.
I think Mac had more than.
Yeah, Max still has the record beat. He had like a dozen.
That poor dude was flying in the VR. I cannot believe what he had to go through with that. That was I would have closed my eyes. But he said he did, which that's I'm gonna. Oh.
That's the. Remember when we were just talking about all the grippy
Man.
grass and how it needs to be fixed? That's from grippy grass. If we had ice grass, that car doesn't barrel roll like that. So it has some upsides. It has some upsides, but I don't think upsides that Ethan's too happy about right now.
He's still all right. He got that faster pair on. He's still up there, right? I think he's. Actually, no, never mind. I think he had a toe. So.
Yeah.
Then,
I don't think he can
It
drive
was on the front
that
stretch.
one.
That's
And then this.
fair. I didn't see a wheel fall off, but.
And then this was Crawford. This is working back on, and he collected the chicken and rice guy's machine, and then slammed into Tishanis. And is there any more? Yeah, there was. There's the 609 getting punted into the wall. It's right on board with that 609 car. Why not? Because he had a pretty wild ride throughout this whole mess.
Andy Filterbush.
Oh, yep, right there. There's the first checkup. Oh, he was already lifting off. Oh, he was lifting early, too, to try to avoid this. That's just wrong place, wrong time, and oh, boy.
That's an
a
awesome
view.
angle. That's incredible.
Ouch.
Coming to 20 to go this time. We're about, what, 60% of the way through? Not too much longer. I still think we're going to get a little bit of a run at some point. And this could be it right here, because we're going to have a single file restart. Yeah, great camera angle there on the Andy Felterbush Jr. car. I love that. It was really good.
You don't often see big barrel rolls like that. That was incredible, to say the least. I'm surprised they missed that the first time, to be completely frank. That you'd think that wouldn't be a roll that could be missed, but when you have a whole pit structure obstructing your view, it tends to do that. Will we go green this next time? I hope.
Yes.
There we go. 19 to go when we get back to green flag racing. 43 minutes on the clock. We are averaging, well, the laps under caution are about, what, a minute 55, minute 56, give or take? I don't know. Let's see here. I'm curious. I'm going to do some math here with my calculator this time. Hang on.
Probably a smart way to do it. Hey, man, even the smartest people in the world, the people sending rockets to space, they use calculators. They don't use their head. Got to be safe. Got to be sure.
So, assuming we have 15 of the next 20 laps under caution, we are looking to be still finishing this race with about 15 minutes left. So we are pretty safe on time. It's, again, the overtime attempts that would put it into consideration. Now, that's not factored every single lap. That was assuming we get 4 laps of green flag racing, which at this point, I think that's a fair assumption. Although I'm like you, I'm hoping that we go green here in this one.
I feel like with them being spread out like this, we're going to see it. Now, again, we could see something where, somebody misses a shift or we have that little stack up again, and it really spreads the field out depending on where it's at. I mean, if it happens around like the 5th, 6th place spot, we're going to see a huge gap from the top 5 to the back of the pack, and they're going to have to, line up to run them down. They can't do the side-by-side stuff and slow each other down a lot, or else they're just going to completely lose touch from the race leaders. But also, these are a bunch of road course guys, right? A lot of these guys don't really run the ovals, to my knowledge, at least not as much as the road courses. So I feel like you can be a little bit more mistake prone in that sense, just because you haven't done it. You don't know exactly everything about the air, like how the air works at a super speedway. So I don't know. It could be interesting. A lot of guys could maybe make a little bit of boneheaded mistakes in a sense, just because they haven't done this before. But, pace car's coming off. Going to have 19 laps to go here. Austin Tucker in the race lead. Ben Williams in second. Evan Campbell in third as the green flag flies. Austin Tucker takes off. And that 4th place car, Jordan Babcock, looks to the outside immediately. But it's not. Oh, man, he almost makes contact with the P3 driver of Evan Campbell, but he still ducks out to the outside, but he's got no help.
19 to go as we rocket away into turn number 1. Austin Tucker, Ben Williams. Tucked up line astern. You've got Evan Campbell in the mix as well, trying to make something happen as we thunder it around through the high banks of 1-2 into the Daytona super stretch. Already, we're seeing that big divide that we saw the last time we were in single file restart starting to form. As we rip it down to the back straightaway and get set to get ourselves fully back up to racing speed.
Yeah, the front 3 are just kind of, it's not really a breakaway, I guess. The front 2 have kind of broken away. Austin Tucker, Ben Williams, Ben doing a really good job just staying really tucked up against that back bumper, not pushing it, but kind of putting a little bit of an air bubble there, right? Just kind of using the virtual air to push Austin Tucker ahead, not really touching him too much. Maybe gets into the backup before they get to the tri-oval as Evan Campbell dips down to the apron right before they get into the start-finish line, and Jason L stacked up behind him. That bottom lane's starting to form, though, and I think that second group of cars are starting to kind of catch up. Mac Verstappen kind of leading that second pack as they're coming up on our main pack here. Oh, man!
Oh, boy!
Outside line. Is that Corey Verdon? No, it's not Corey. Oh,
it's Jambrell.
Jimmy Castro makes contact again. Just super sketchy all throughout the pack. I'm just not sure where to look because I feel like there's going to be an accident at any moment as we got a battle for the race lead.
Race leaders are starting to duke it out. That was Blake Gamble we had saw getting into the outside wall. Williams to the outside of Tucker. Got a few cars going off just in the background. Oh, there we go. Look out. The 72 of Kameyer spinning around, and that brings out the caution again as there's a few cars that look to have been collected this one. Tom Madole, I know, having been collected as well. Oh, Madole's ripped the front bumper off, so he's had a fairly wild incident himself. As Austin Tucker takes the race lead, and we've still got over 15 laps to go.
Probably be down to 13 or 14 by the time we get the green flag here. But hey, you said they needed 4 laps of green flag racing to make it for sure. And we knocked off 2 of those there.
Tomadole, came up and collected, I think, the 549 of Kyle Smith. And that was a heavy shot as well. Oh, few hard hits from Adole. See,
Is that Augustino that came in?
May very well have been. There's 1, 2, and then 3. Ouch. Pit strategy. Everybody's come down at least once. I think at this point we should be good to go to the end on fuel. What do you think? I mean, we've been saving a lot of fuel under these caution flags. Some drivers might be trying to stretch to a 1-stop at this rate.
I mean, I do think that.
Oh,
I guess
maybe
everybody
not.
is.
I guess that answers
everybody's
that.
coming down to make sure. Yep. They want to make absolute sure of it. You know, if we do get the green flag run, they could be a little short, right? Because they pitted just after halfway, but we had so many cautions in the the halfway period that maybe they couldn't make it that long if we run green. So I think a lot of these guys are just coming in making sure, especially because it's looking like we're probably going to have green white checkers, and you can see some guys running out on the green white checkers because it extends the race a little bit. So I think that pitting now makes it where even if we have those GWCs, we're not going to have an issue with fuel for these drivers that came in. A lot of guys stayed out though.
See the field working its way out of pit road, and Jeremy Castro will take over the race lead as a result. He all the way back to 15th have opted to stay out under this latest caution as Brian LeBlanc takes a free pass wave around. Wanted to say lucky dog. I'm so used to saying lucky dog free pass in oval racing. I forget that they don't do lucky dogs here. They just do free passes. You see, there's a 4th one going around. And this is just the series heads trying to make sure that everyone can get back onto the lead lap to try to fight it out. It's still a sentiment I actually like to see. I mean, it's good to have these guys able to scrap it out like this. You mentioned, of course, these guys have tail lights that they can watch. And they also have headlights that are on these cars, which, I mean, look at the light. I think headlights are a bit redundant at this point in time.
Yeah, I don't think that they need them. Now, it would be cool. It would be really, really cool.
I mean, I think that says it all, that shot right there.
If iRacing made it where if we had a league race, we could turn off the lights at night for these racetracks so that they would actually make sense. I feel like that would be kind of interesting to see these guys run around, which, you know what, I'd kind of take it back because we've had plenty of cautions already anyway. I couldn't imagine how many cautions we'd have if we couldn't see and we just had the headlights. Well, and also from a commentator's point of view, whenever it's nighttime on the road courses and I can only see headlights, I have no idea who's who.
Well, to be fair, you also have you've got a lot of tracks on the oval side that don't have working night lighting. Dover obviously doesn't have that in the real world, I'm pretty sure, as well.
Talladega.
Atlanta as well doesn't have any. Which, to be fair, Atlanta really should have it because they've run night races plenty of times in Atlanta. So I don't know why they don't, but they don't.
They don't have lights at Atlanta in the sim?
No, not at the old or the new, as far as I'm aware of.
What?
They definitely didn't on the old, even though they have been running night races there for years. I have no idea. Absolutely no idea.
Come on, just put a bulb in the sky and let us run at night. I don't understand.
I asked the same thing about Stafford Speedway, which also doesn't have night light, despite pretty much every race ever at Stafford being run exclusively at night.
I was about to say, most short track races are at night. You got any
They
short
have
track,
to be at
like
night because
local...
you
exactly.
be qualifying during the day.
Well,
it's baffling. It's a baffling decision.
We're talking about all the things we hate tonight. We got that and the grass.
I guess, to be fair, though, in the grand scheme of things, functional lights just aren't high up on the priority list.
Yeah, give me rain.
Yeah, I could live with that. I could live with that. Stop teasing us with screenshots already. We want the real thing.
I would like a new tire model on the NASCAR vehicles, please.
Oh, among so many others.
I'd like the next gen to race like a next gen car.
Who knows? Maybe in the future. You know the old meme, #soon.
I'm looking forward to it. Maybe whenever they come out with that new NASCAR video game, they'll figure some stuff out and port it over. I don't know.
We'll work out of turn number 4 to the restart zone. 14 laps remain. As Jeremy Castro will get set to turn us loose. By the way, by now we would have hit that 55-minute mark that the races hold, so technically by now we would be on the last lap. If this is your average road course race, this is exactly why they shortened the amount of heats that we have in our program tonight.
I think that means we have to charge them more.
I don't think it works.
I'm just
quite
kidding.
like that.
But Jeremy Castro out to the race lead. Aaron Facker in second place, giving him a nice shove down into the back straightaway. And we got another wreck. Chris Bright goes around. Oh.
Huge hit into the outside wall of one of the Budweiser cars. Got kicked around by a top, but that's another pack of at least a dozen collected.
Well, single file restart, baby.
You know the drill. I think everybody does, but now it looks like Ken Rea collecting Chris Bright, and that's what kicks all this off. There's Bright going around, and watch Rea fired up into the outside wall.
I think there's going to be some hurt feelings after tonight.
You think? I think they might be fine. I mean, these guys are usually fairly chill with each other as far as series like this go.
Do you have the ability to look at the race text chat?
I do not.
Well, I'm going to have to disagree with you then.
Oh, boy. It's turning into one of those nights, is it?
No, there's not too many people saying stuff, but yeah.
They're vocalizing it. They're vocalizing it without words. Castro continues to lead. When we return, we'll have about 10 laps to go. Might have 11 by the time we get back to Green Flag Racing. We're under caution once again on Green Flag TV. We'll be back in a few.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back to Green Flag TV. We've got ourselves 10 laps to go when we go back racing. Jeremy Castro, Graham Jordan, Tyler Viennan, Josh Freed, and Howie Feltersnatch. The 5 drivers that round out the top 5 runners as we will get set to go back racing this time by.
Yep, we're going to have the single file restart this time around, so hopefully we can get it a little bit cleaner, not have any too big of mistakes. I feel like by now, I feel like everybody's just got to, I know it's towards the end of the race, you want to do everything you can to get up to the front, but, you know, just maybe don't give that push. Don't be a little bit erratic in the center of the corner. I feel like these vehicles probably shouldn't be too hard to handle through the center of the corner unless you're getting, a good bump in the left rear quarter panel, so hopefully we can just see a little bit tighter racing with the lines and, everybody just kind of take it a little bit easier. Let's get this thing down to the white flag, and then we can let it all hang loose at that point. Who cares what happens at that point? But I think we'll have a good restart here. I have plenty of faith.
Well, we'll see if your faith is well placed as we'll get set to go back to Green Flag Racing this time. Pace cars in a pit road. Here comes Jeremy Castro once more into the restart zone. Green flag is back up and in the air.
Freed looked to the outside immediately from P4, not quite able to get the run just yet, but he ducks back down, gets the draft once again from Vietnam, and then ducks to the outside. He's got a helping hand here from Chris Hannigan on the outside of the racetrack, but now Freed ducks down to the bottom, leaves Hannigan out to dry, peeks back up. I'm not quite sure what Freed's doing here. Maybe just playing with the draft a little bit, trying to get a little bit of a pull from that second place driver of Graham Jordan. Ducks back to the outside and has that bumper from Chris Hannigan going down onto the back straightaway. Now Castro pulls high and gives the draft to the outside lane as Hannigan now goes to the bottom.
Oh, a lot of moving in the back. Got one car hard into the outside wall. That's Corey Barrett climbing the fence down the backstretch. A wheel breaks loose and is sent scrambling. Luckily, not something you can collide with. Looking like will be no caution, but Corey Barrett going to be down and out. Never mind, caution's out, and it's for a massive pile up in turn 3.
That was the
and
race
we're still flying in. 1 car, 2 cars upside down.
Well,
your faith is misplaced, my friend.
Something tells me they're going to take the ovals off of the wheel of doom.
Maybe they might have to.
I think for next season, maybe you take the super speedways off and you take Mount Panorama off. I think that's what we've learned this year. I still think the mile and a half would put on a good race.
In these cars.
I think the mile and a half would be fun, but well, I guess they have a different car next year too, right? The champion gets to pick the car.
Yes,
so.
You're not wrong.
Well, then let's hopefully the champion picks the F1 car, and we have only super speedways.
Oh boy. Oh boy, that'd be a ride. That would be a ride. Taking a look on what went down as this was up the road. And yeah, right at the front, it all just falls apart. And I see Tanner Klein getting involved, and there's a few cars that got kicked upside down throughout this whole mess. There's one right there. It's just an awkward bounce with the apron, and everybody else just went flying in. Like
I feel like
no
Freed
tomorrow.
pinched too much from the outside line and forced the driver in the middle into the bottom lane, and that turned the driver in the bottom lane hard into the outside wall. If I had to go off of that look, we're gonna get another look here, going down into turn number 3.
Trying to find who the Budlong car is in the midst of all of this.
But yeah, Freed just pinched low, and the car on the outside or inside was coming up a little bit at the same time, but I don't know. Oh my goodness.
Good gravy. Then, it was Klein. Adam Klein, the other car that got flipped over. This is from further in the back. Kind of saw what happened up front, but this is everybody else, and they were already crashing into turn 3 before they even got on scene. And it just becomes this whole mess. Then again, watch as everybody behind just comes flying in completely unsighted. They're just trying to make whatever spots they can muster, and it leaves this.
Well, I think we're going to be down to 4 or 5 laps to go. And I think we're definitely easing into the we will have green-white checkered territory. Because I feel like, well, the next caution that happens will put us into a green-white checkered. So if we have another one, I think your bet's going to be right. And we're still somehow going to wreck this entire race and maybe use 2 green-white checkers, and we will still not have under 10 minutes left on the clock, I believe. As Tucker was just mowing the grass there under caution, doing a really. I mean, I don't know if the if they have to cut the virtual grass, but if they do, I'm sure they're going to be really happy with Tucker there. You know, take a little bit of work out from our virtual grounds crew. So
I don't think
very good guy stuff there from Austin Tucker.
I don't know if the grass painters would be too happy with that, though. To be fair.
Well, they don't have to paint the backstretch, right? Just the front straightaway.
Is there no signage in the grass of the backstretch there? I could have sworn there was.
Maybe back in the day, whenever there was stands back there, they did. But
yeah, I guess you're right.
I'm trying to think back to Ryan Priest's crash, and I don't remember seeing any whenever I was watching that replay. And I watched that replay a lot, so I think they'll be happy with it.
Lights go out. We'll go back to green flag racing this time by 6 laps to go when we will take the green flag again.
Plenty of bench sheet metal, plenty of hurt feelings.
It's one of those nights.
Hopefully we can get plenty of green flag racing in the last 6. I have faith!
You said that waver. Every single caution before.
Never waver, never falter. Keep your faith.
Another caution. Would another caution put us to green-white checker, or would we, if they have a caution on the restart lap, I think they could still have a nat green-white checkered.
Yeah, I think you're right.
But if they go more than 2 laps green, another wreck would put us to overtime.
Yeah. I mean, we've only got 2 of them, so can't go too much longer.
Coming up on Green Flag TV over the next few days, the Speed Cup Series takes its penultimate round down to the Martinsville Speedway. They'll be set to lock out the Final 4 in playoff season for them. The LTAC All-Street Media Cup Series returns on Friday night for the Paul Medal 200 at the Darlington Raceway. No Saturday night action as the TNGG Truck Series wrapped up racing competition just this past weekend. We will not be seeing them return until later on in the winter, as that will then leave us to the High Tide Racing League and Racing Designs Cup Series, which will return for their first round of playoffs at the Worldwide Technology Raceway over on Monday night. For now, though, we still got tonight's race to wrap up, as Chris Hannigan will take us into the restart zone as the pace car pulls off. 6 to go. We'll see if it's the magic number. Green flag's up in the air.
Hannigan actually got a huge jump over Vietnam here. I mean, that's a massive gap for a race leader to get over the rest of the field. Probably going to allow Vietnam to get a big run here coming down the back straightaway. He's going to have that draft all the way through 1 and 2 and has a little bit of help from behind from DeVries. But Vietnam, I mean, he really did not get that good jump, and half a second's a big gap. But like I said, that's a lot of room to kind of build that draft up down the back straightaway if we can get all the way down it without caution.
Alrighty, that momentum is building as
well,
they thunder along, and now Felter Snatch pulling alongside with Vietnam, but they're both still closing. The toe is strong. Felter Snatch trying to make a run for the race lead as he'll power through around the top side of the racetrack. Tyler Vietnam down in 3rd as we work out of turn 4 to the backstretch.
Yeah, DeVries made a really big, my goodness, Felter Snatch made a really big move down the back straightaway onto the outside of Vietnam, and now gets to the outside of Hannigan, actually takes the race lead to the line, but Hannigan's got it back on the inside line with a little bit of a push from Vietnam, trying to keep that inside line moving. The inside line's got one more number as the rest of the pack is just a little bit spread out. Oh man, Vietnam gets crowded there by Felter Snatch through the middle of 1 and 2. Really tight racing here from the front of the pack with 5 laps to go.
5 to go. There's the first pack, and right behind the Hornet's Nest, that is the second pack, and there's where the wreck's going to come. I knew we wouldn't make it back, and well, that's it. 5 laps to go. We're into overtime now as one of the chicken and rice guys getting spun around from the background, and he, along with others, Jeremy Castro, spun and stopped in the infield after it looks like a hard hit, potentially to the inside wall, rebounded him back. Chris Hannigan will have the race lead as we'll work to our first green-white checkered attempt.
Yeah, as soon as you pan the camera to where we could see that second pack, I mean, it was only a matter of time.
You could tell.
It was only a matter of time. I mean, they were 3 deep, or 3 wide, 10 rows deep. It looked like coming off that corner. I mean, my goodness, it was just an absolute hornet's nest. It seemed like everybody from 15th on back was stuck in that second pack. I mean, goodness gracious, look at this thing. Everybody just stacked up all throughout. Gonna have to get a good look view, or a good view here to kind of see what happened. Where did that wreck start? We're looking with Jeremy Castro right here, coming off of turn 2. Oh man,
middle of the pack.
Whoever was on the outside there just kind of crowded the middle lane and shoved them down into the inside and kind of kicked off that whole thing.
And looking like Castro, in fact, just pulled it down to the inside, was just kind of done with everything. And again, I can't say I terribly blame him in that whole mess, as it's just, again, one car making a bad mistake, and it causes mayhem elsewhere. Not a really big wreck, though. More just a messy one, as everyone was kind of ping-ponging off each other. I think you had, what, about 5-6 cars involved in that? Otherwise, everyone looked to have gotten out of that all right. Won't be double file for our first green-white checkered attempt as well, which is concerning, to say the least.
Well, we will be single file. It was changed to single file just now.
Okay.
Yep. But that's going to knock Andy Felterbush out of the race. That was his last action of the night. Yeah, we're hopefully only going to have the one green light checkered. I'm hoping. I have faith. I'm going to keep saying it.
I mean, at this point, we won't have a green flag run. We'll just see if we can get one green flag lap in. To be fair,
well, hey,
with them being single file, I have faith as well, because I think all bar one attempt, we've made it at least one lap under green.
Yeah, and you know what? Who cares if they wreck after the white flag flies? You know, the caution won't come out. So,
well, they'll
not
care.
a big deal.
The drivers will care.
That's fair. Everybody that gets involved will be very upset. That is a 100% good point. But I'll be pretty happy. I'm okay with some carnage on the last lap.
15 minutes on the clock. And with this being the first overtime attempt, we are now guaranteed to make this race on laps. There you see our next batch of cars getting their wave arounds to get back on, or at least get a lap back, if not all of their laps back. The wheel has not been kind to the beer league when it comes to having races where there's a low attrition rate. It has there this season. It's been a brutal season overall.
Yeah, there's been a couple of scary races. We've had some really good races. The one I missed was phenomenal. I remember watching or going back and watching the highlights, and that race was so good, and I'm so upset I missed it. There's been a couple other good ones. I really liked Long Beach. Thought it was a pretty good show. We had the parking lot on lap 1 in the fountain section, but other than that, I thought that was a really good race from the entire group of guys that we had that night. But yeah, there's been a couple ones that I wish the wheel didn't land on. That's for sure. In hindsight, this was probably one. I was super excited coming into this. I thought this was going to be great, but fortunately we just have had a lot of accidents tonight. But the only other one I'd say that I was really disappointed in this year was probably Mount Panorama. I feel like all the other ones I've thoroughly enjoyed, even if the attrition rate has been high. This one and Mount Panorama were just a little bit too much.
To be fair, I think a lot of folks were excited for Daytona and see how this was going to pan out. And I think everybody expected it was not going to be a clean race. We all knew there was going to be some monstrous wrecks. I don't think we realized just how many there would be, though, right? We thought it'd be quality over quantity. We got quantity and quality, though. And take that however you will. Usually that's a good thing, but in this case, the quality comes in how spectacular the wrecks have been. The quantity isn't a number you want to see very high with that, though.
Yeah, and I had mentioned this earlier. I feel like that's kind of what you get whenever, you put a bunch of guys who are normally used to road course racing onto a super speedway, right?
Yes.
It's not like you're throwing them at Charlotte in the street stocks, the rookie races. You're throwing them at Daytona, and a car that doesn't go to Daytona, and in a car that has absolutely monstrous runs on each other. Like, I guess it's, in hindsight, it's a recipe for disaster whenever you look at it. Because a lot of the mistakes I feel like tonight have been because of guys that don't run ovals. It's mistakes you don't typically see oval guys making all too often. Like, the last one was 3 wide and somebody just cuts down into the middle lane and tags the guy in the middle. So I feel like we've seen a lot of kind of stuff like that, and some bumps in the left rear quarter panel through the middle of the corner. That's a big no-no. If you run a couple of super speedways in the oval side, you know that immediately. So I just think that's a little bit of inexperience, but something I'm sure they'll get figured out here for the rest of the season and next season as well. Maybe don't put the super speedways on here.
Pace car is off. And we get set to go back to green flag racing for what could be the final time tonight. Green flag's up in the air. It is overtime attempt number 1. 2 laps to go from Daytona.
And again with a good jump. Everybody from third on back really didn't get going. Vietnam again did not get going. Valley didn't get going. Barrett Morton did not get going. And it's a hornet's nest from about 7th on back. But Chris Hannigan skating away with Felter Snatch right behind him.
Oh, and we're wrecking again in turn 1, so we are not done yet. We will have one more attempt before the end of this race, and there were some vicious hits into the wall, and almost another car up and over, and that collects a huge mess as well. It's about another dozen or so that got collected. They'll slide to a stop on the apron. Hannigan had, honestly, enough of a lead where enough drivers had a bad launch. I believe he could have won it off that restart. Now he's going to have to try to do it all over again.
I think we're going to go back and see exactly what I was just talking about like the mistakes that you normally wouldn't see. Yeah, but that wasn't. I didn't get a great view, but it looked like somebody was just crowding the absolute heck out of somebody in the middle of 1 and 2, and may have pinched him onto the apron. We'll have to get the view on it again, but I don't know. It was a tough one.
Mateo Dupuis running with Bear Morton right there. They come together. Dupuis goes into the outside wall, and exactly as you mentioned, just crowding down, and it results in all this. And, okay, admittedly, some incidents, like whoever that was in the cannabis car, just exacerbated incidents by just not slowing down at all, but the point's there.
I mean, I know these things don't have amazing braking ability, but I really want to see if his brake lights come on. That's what I want to see more than anything.
Right there. There's the contact, and around they go. Heavy shots into the outside wall all around. Chris Bright came steaming in. Good gravy.
Was that Camire?
Was that? It may very well have been, I think it was. We're right on board. Little lift there. And in the corner. Absolutely no lift until it was way too late to do anything about it.
Yeah. That was a little late on the brakes, I'll say. I feel like that's a fair assessment. I might be being a little bit too fair to him.
On board with Chris Bright. Like the guy behind, trying to make it through, failed.
Almost. He was closer. Cinnamon Toast Crunch got crunched pretty hard in into the outside wall right there.
Alex Crawford was one of the drivers that got collected, and we'll see his hard hit in the Fuddruckers Mustang. 7-3 and the 6 come together right there, just the smallest nick, and then hard into the outside wall, rebounding right back down, and then collected a couple of others as he was stopped down low. It's all about that situational awareness in incidents like that, right? I mean, trying to figure out where you want to go and at what point do you decide it's better to lift, right? Because I get it. It's an overtime attempt, right? You see a wreck, you want to go for it. But there comes a point where you have to think self-preservation, because if you can work through that mess, you might not be able to catch the guys in front of you. You're still making up, what, 8, 9 spots throughout all of that? And they're not going to catch you. They're all damaged.
And I got to go back to the initial contact also. I think it was Dupuis in the middle. And, you know, he did crown down a little bit. He came down late. But also, I couldn't quite tell who the car on the bottom was. But for the car on the bottom,
I believe.
Barrett Morton, okay. Whenever, you know, he was kind of off the yellow line. And, you know, you can run your line. But I know whenever I'm in a super speedway race and I hear 3 wide, I'm getting as close to the apron as possible. I'm trying to put my left side tires on that black line in the middle of the 2 yellow ones. So, again, that's just kind of comes down to the experience. They don't run the super speedways, and so I guess you just don't really know how much room to give, right? Especially in a car you've never ran them at. Even for the guys that have ran super speedways, you know, it's a brand new car on it. You don't know how much room you got. You don't know about the width of the vehicle. How many cars can you fit 3 wide or you know, across the racetrack? Can you really make the 3 wide work? Can you make the 4 wide work? So I don't know. I just feel like it's a learning experience for everybody. Just being a new car on a different kind of track. But hey, we got the last green white checker. This is the one that's going to end it. Chris Hannigan is in the race lead. If the caution comes out, I guess he'll be pretty happy because he'll, you know, default to the victory. But I think that if we do run green, I think there's going to be a couple people here that have maybe learned over the last couple restarts that they need to be a little bit more on their A game, reacting to Chris and having a better jump.
Oh, I was going to say reacting to Chris getting the better jump? I think absolutely. I was really hoping you weren't going to say reacting to all the mayhem around them, because I was going to say if they had done that, we wouldn't be in this situation right now, would we?
No, definitely not. We would have finished this race 20 minutes ago, and we wouldn't be having a problem.
Speaking of the time, you see, let's take a look at that over on the top of the screen. We're down to 6 minutes remaining. This is our last green-white checkered attempt, so this literally is going right down to about as close to the wire as it could get. That's a good time. They're making full use of that timer here in this one, as it'll end up being a 55 lap race extended out from 50. They're lucky they don't have a third attempt, or I don't think we don't have enough time to make another green white checkered attempt. So even on time, this would be it.
Yep, absolutely. We would be done with it at this point, but we're gonna have to see the field bunch back together here with a single file restart to end this thing off. We're gonna see if Chris Hannigan can bring this thing home. Put a exclamation point on a good day for him, running up towards the front of the field. Hopefully we can end off this race on a high note as well.
These guys behind got to start catching up a bit more. There's a lot of space being left, and that's how we see these big divides. Chris Hannigan immediately moving to the top. He's protecting that outside line. Remember, on single file restarts, you are allowed to overtake, but it has to be around the outside. He's getting right up to that wall, and he's making sure that these guys are not able to jump him around the top. He seems slowing up as well to bunch the field up to make sure he's not leaving that huge gap like he did the last time around. Green flags out. Hannigan, the most vulnerable out of all these drivers.
They're wrecking down in the grass, so I don't think the caution's going to come out.
Oh, we are. No caution. I like it. Let's let it play out.
Hannigan gets the jump, though, over Filter Snatch here, going down to turn 1, but Filter Snatch is going to get that big draft here. Get a little bit of help from Vietnam as well, more than likely. I imagine he's going to stay tucked up right on that bumper, get the draft. Maybe he'll make it 3 wide coming out of 3 and 4 to kind of give himself an opportunity, but it's going to be tough. Filter Snatch now on the back bumper of Hannigan. Somebody spins towards the back of the pack, drives it back up the racetrack, and that's going to be it. The caution comes out.
Oh, boy.
Unfortunately, that is going to end the show.
Well, not the way we wanted to see the race come to a close, but the way it will come to a close regardless. I believe it may have been Klein. Graham Jordan and Matthew DeShanis, the two that have come together, it appears, on the back straightaway. And this will be the incident that brings us to the end of our race in action tonight, as this is DeShanis, Graham Jordan, I believe, in front. There's Graham. Oh, wow. So sorry, that's Tanner Klein up the road, and well, DeShanis just looped it out of turn 2, and I think just gave it up, and Graham Jordan was already stopped on the front stretch, but it was Tanner Klein, the driver that spun around on the back straightaway.
We're going to have to get a look at what happened to Tanner here. He's got Chris Bright on his outside through 1 and 2. Working the bottom of the racetrack. Gets a little bit on the apron there. Nothing too crazy, though. Just kind of bobbing and weaving a little bit. But coming off the turn.
Lost it. Oh. It's a weird spot to lose it. I think he may have taken too much apron. Let's right on board. This be a good indicator. See him kind of straddle the lip there, and he's already getting a bit loose. Watch that wheel. Yeah, that's just clipping the apron too much and just looping the back end at that point.
I don't feel like he should have spun out there. I hate to say it. That was, I don't know. I've been seeing a lot of people missing the wrecks by using the apron in the middle of the corner and not looping it around. So I don't know. I'm at a loss for words for that one.
Working out of turn number 4 on the final lap, Chris Hannigan will officially come home and be the race winner at the end of the night, as we will close out the Corona Zone at the Daytona International Speedway with the number 4 car taking the win under caution. So all drivers will slowly make their way across the line, and then we'll get to your official race results at the end of this one. It was a race of pure attrition tonight, and in a way, we'll say that much, in a way for sure. Here's the results. Chris Hannigan with the race win. Howie Feltersnatch, taking up the number 2 spot. Kyle Levine was in 3rd with Darren Bai in 4th. Tom Ado was in 5th. Bear Morton 6th. Giovanni Romano 7th. Tyler Carlton 8th. Jordan Babcock, Kyle Smith rounding out the top 10.
11th was Jason L. 12th, Ben Williams. 13th, Austin Tucker. 14th was Josh Freed. Greg Beckman 15th. Tyler Augustino 16th. Aaron Facker 17th. Chris Bright comes home in 18th.
That rounds out eventually.
Are we going to the rest of them? I'm sorry.
We're trying to.
Okay. 19th is going to be Evan Campbell, and 20th, Adam Mahon.
21st is going to be the likes of Sean Bradley with Tanner Klein in 22nd, Jonathan Lane 23rd, Corey Baird 24th, Brian LeBlanc was in 25th, Jeremy Castro, the last car in the lead, 26th, with Rod Wolf, Ethan Kahn, Alan Kammeyer, and Matthew DeShamis rounding out the top 20, or the top 30.
And 31st is going to be Graham Jordan. 32nd, Matthew Dupuis. Alex Gofford brings it home in 33rd. Blake Gamble, 34th. Andy Felterbush Jr. comes home 35th. 36th is going to be Mac Verstappen. 37th, Adam Klein. Carson Catlin brings it home 38th. Eric Cronenberg, 39th. Ken Rea, Gabriel Asilian, and Brooks Clayton bringing home 40th, 41st, and 42nd.
And that closes out then the racing here tonight after a wild race, if you can call it that. We'll take a look at your official we'll talk to the guys that finished this race on the podium at the end of the night, as we'll, of course, be looking to kick things off first with the race winner of this one. It is Chris Hannigan, joins us up in the broadcast booth. And, well, Chris, it was a very long and arduous night for so many drivers out here in this one, but you survived the mayhem to take home the race win. Walk us through it.
Oh, my goodness, what just happened? That was chaos. Dude, it was insane. Nolan, we appreciate you guys being in the booth. I hope it wasn't too boring for you. We had a good run there at the start. I mean, honestly, my plan was just hang back and try to get up there toward the end. But with all the yellows, I realized that any green flag run we had, I had to get up and make moves where I could. And I think the thing that worked out for me was I got caught up in an accident, like 10 laps in, 15 laps in, somewhere around there. And I had a pit stop that was slightly off cycle. So when all the other guys pitted, I stayed out and it gave me the track position. And then I think 2 or 3 yellows from the end there, I had an opportunity where I was pushing somebody and I was like, nah, I just got to make a run for it here. And I dove up the middle and passed everybody through the middle and got the lead. And I just never looked back from there. And thankfully, Jay, in his first race back with the league on that last restart, decided not to pass me, but push me. And honestly, I was just kind of crossing my fingers the yellow would come out again. It did. Takes me back to years ago, and I used to run ovals on Daytona all the time, but these cars are a little bit different. But man, that was crazy. But I mean, we'll be back on the road courses next week, back to normal.
Looking forward, obviously, at the end of this race, it was a wild one. But with this one, you're going to be able to get a big handful of points as a result of being able to survive all the carnage. What do you think you can do to keep that momentum rolling forward into race number 10?
Man, I just got to get lucky, Nolan. It's been tough, dude. I feel like I deserve more wins this season. I think the first race I was leading until the last lap, and then other races I was, just needed to get a win. Finally got one. But I think there's more in the bag. Just got to get lucky and stop making those, stupid mistakes that we do when we drink, and we make poor judgments sometimes. But yeah, I mean, points are good. Had a lot of beers tonight. I think a lot of people did. So should be some good points on the board.
Well, we'll wish you the best of luck then when we return to racing action next week. Congratulations on the race win. We'll let you go back to celebrating.
Thanks, man. See ya.
That was Chris Hannigan joining us up here in the broadcast booth. We will move on down to the driver of that number 96 car who will join us up here now in the broadcast booth. And Austin, you're standing by with number 2.
Hey, Jay, congratulations on your P2 finish. I don't know what to call you, Jay DeVries or Howie Felcher Snatch, but either way, congrats on the P2. What could you have done different maybe on that last restart? Obviously, you probably wanted it to run green to give yourself a chance, but what do you think in hindsight you could have done different?
Well, I just want to start off with saying that I currently have the best average finish in this league out of everybody. So, but no, I honestly was praying for a caution. I lined up behind Chris, and I knew that I had to push him, and P2 was probably the best I was going to get unless I got to run on that backstretch because I ran out of fuel coming across the start finish line at the end of the race. So and that was after running under caution, so I did not have enough fuel to make it. I cut it way too close, but cutting it on fuel was the only way I could get track position and get out of the mess that the back of the pack was.
Well, then a little bit of good fortune went your way here tonight. That's always good to see. But can you kind of run us through your race? What did you feel out there whenever we did get a little bit of green flag running in? Like, what kind of moves could you do?
It seemed like for the most part, everybody would kind of stall out. You'd get kind of back at the back of the pack and you could get a little bit of a run. I don't know if anybody else was, but I noticed that I'd click it up to 6th gear, and then it seemed like I just had a little bit extra of a run compared to everybody else. So I did that a few times and tried to get track position and move up just because, like I said, I was trying to get out of the back. Once I got up front, though, I kind of painted myself in a corner because if I was really close on fuel, well, if I pitted, well, I lost all that, and so I had to stay out and try to save as much as I could. You probably saw my headlights blinking the whole race because I was doing everything I could to save every bit of fuel from like lap 6 on.
Well, congratulations on your P2, and I'm looking forward to see what you can do on the road courses coming up. Are you excited about the actual bread and butter of the league, the road courses?
I definitely am. I had good luck with them last season. The team that I was on actually won the championship last season, but I took a little bit of a hiatus. But they said we were running Daytona, and I said, all right, I guess I'll buy this and hop in.
Well, congrats on the P2, and I'm looking forward to seeing what you can do on the road course next week.
Awesome, looking forward to it.
All right, that was our P2 finisher. Next up, Nolan is going to take up P3, Tyler Vietnam.
It is going to be the driver that finishes this race down in the number 3 spot. Tyler Vietnam joins us up here on the final step of the podium. Tyler, you started this race down in 14th. You're able to fight your way up to the number 3 spot and take over the race win at the end of the night. Walk us through it because, boy, this is not one that came easy.
Literally, all I did was not hit anybody else that was just flying across the track. I want to thank White Claw and PBR for the performance that I had today. Without them, I don't know where I'd be. I want to thank Velveeta Cheese for making me greasy all night, and had a great time out there. Just really had a good time around Daytona.
Talk us through the race as a whole, because obviously we're used to only having maximum 2 cautions. So when you get to a race where all of a sudden you can have so many more, how does that change up the type of dynamic of what kind of a racing we can see?
Well, it definitely makes a lot more skill in avoidance of crashes, and that was the only thing I did tonight. I didn't do anything else besides avoid crashes. Stayed on the inside line, which I got really lucky with because the outside line was flying at the wall all night. And, Pabst Blue Ribbon kept me on the inside, and I want to thank them for that.
Looking forward to race number 10. What are you going to have to do to keep the momentum rolling forward in that number 43 car?
Well, I don't know. I'm excited. I had to miss a few weeks for work, travel, and whatnot, but I'm really excited to do these next 3 weeks because this is just such a good league. It's so much fun. I've only done endurance races before this, so this is it's the best. Just try hard, hope for the best.
Well, we wish you the best of luck then when we go racing next week, wherever that may be. Thank you for joining us up tonight. Congratulations on the number 3.
Hell yeah, brother.
That was Tyler Vietnam joining us up here in the broadcast booth. And, well, Austin, that's going to be a wrap then for us here in this one. What a wild night and a tiring night, but I think a night that several drivers in this field are happy to be done and over with. Next week, we don't know where we're going to be, but I think a lot of drivers will be happy to returning back to road course racing action.
I'd say that's a safe bet, and I'm pretty excited about it too. It's the bread and butter of the league. We've seen that it's really, really good here whenever you get the road course stuff going. So I'm excited to see us back on the road, and looking forward to next week after the change of pace from this week.
Tomorrow night, the Speed Cup Series will return to Martinsville Speedway, where they get set to eliminate 4 more drivers, leaving just 4 as they'll roll into their season finale at the Phoenix Raceway next week. And then, of course, as mentioned before, the Alltech All Street Media Cup Series returns to the track Too Tough to Tame at the Darlington Raceway for race number 5. That and so much more coming on up on Green Flag TV. We're back same time, same place as always for race number 10 of the Beer League. My name is Little Renful alongside Austin Edstrom. Thank you for joining us tonight on Green Flag TV. We'll see you all next week when we return to racing action.